So, welcome to Mission Over Mood, the podcast where purpose leads and feelings follow. I'm your host, Kay, and each week I sit down with artists, entrepreneurs, and everyday people on a mission. Around here, we talk about discipline over doubt, passion with purpose, and why showing up matters more than feeling ready. Let's get into it. So, I just wanted to start off today by saying, how you doing? First of all.
I'm doing all right. How about you? And thank you for bringing me to your podcast.
Oh, well, okay. I'm doing great. I'm doing great. Had some technical difficulties, like I said, but um, I would like to ask you, can you introduce yourself for those who might not know you yet?
All right, so for those who don't know me, I go by Domino Dominko, an artist from just a small town in Marshall, Texas.
Okay, okay. And how has your hometown influenced your music?
Um, it influenced the landscaping of my music by showing me the different things of how I didn't want to live, but I also became a product of my environment, so to speak, and
Hmm.
I had to become that in order to survive through that so that I could get away from it. But I'm always reminded of where I come from, my upbringing,
Right,
and it showed me that not only can that be an avenue of success, so to say, but seeing the consequences of everybody showed me specifically that that's not a lane that's designed for me.
right,
That
right,
I could choose other means of making it out of my hood to where I
right,
could thrive and everything.
right. Yeah. And I see that with a lot of artists coming up, they become like subject to their environment. And so they try to get out of that by, the means of rapping or different things that they can put together as far as getting out of that. So I totally understand that. But what's one thing people might not expect about you just from like looking at you or talking to you? What's some things people might not expect?
People may not expect that. I like, a broad, horizon when it comes into thinking process because, oh, maybe a background or, the tattoos that I'm very much a intellectual person and open-minded to other ways of life. Even if I may not agree with it, I could still sit down and be an ear to listen because it may not be everything I take from it, but it may be a small part of what somebody may say that it's like, okay, I could think about that and,
Hmm.
apply that to my own life or what I'm trying to do.
Hmm. Right, right. Yeah, I think that's pretty much how a lot of people they may see a person and just figure like, oh, that they're a thug or they gang bang or something like that. And that's totally not, what that person caliber is. So I totally get that. I wanted to ask you, who were like some of your biggest influences coming up? Like, what are some artists that you listen to that kind of inspired or influenced your music throughout your music career?
Oh man, the list is so long. So I guess from one category, I grew up mainly listening to R&B, blues, and old school. Like that was a whole vibe surrounding like my younger upbringing up until a certain age when I discovered hip hop and rap music. When it comes into rapping itself, first and foremost, it's always Ludacris. Like that was my first rapper that
Oh,
I was
wow.
into. The
Got you.
so what's your fantasy?
Right.
That
Oh,
that
I remember that.
that right there was the catalyst of like, hey, I liked this. Then the older I got, started listening to Snoop Dogg, everybody
Hmm.
from the West Coast.
Right.
So whatever time frame that they were, like I listened to them, the whole Dog Pound, everybody from the West Coast. Then if it's coming back home,
Hmm.
I'm also inspired by people like Rest in Peace Pimp C, Fun
Hmm.
B, Paul Wall, Chameleon there. When it comes to the singing aspect,
Those were some great artists.
I was very heavily influenced by Chameleon there. And I was like, if he could do it and it sounds good, I like it. I don't
Mm-hmm.
want to mimic it, but I like it. How can I
Mm-hmm.
have my own lane with it? I
Mm-hmm.
listen to people like him. Take it to Atlanta, to where growing up listening to the T.I.'s, Jeezys, the Gucci
Mm-hmm.
Mane. Then
Right.
later in New Atlanta, I gravitated more towards like the Rich Homie Quan, rest in peace to him, Young Thug. Um, specific, I like the whole Young Thug YSL movement. So
Mm-hmm.
shout out to them. Um, then a lyrical standpoint, I have to give one of the biggest shout outs. Not only does he have a good work ethic, but his lyrical schemes is just always nasty, as we know. And
Mm-hmm.
that'll go to Lil Wayne.
I figured you
And
were gonna say that.
yes, so whenever it comes into those aspects, yes. I like people
Mm-hmm.
from Florida like Plies.
Mm-hmm.
Um, I also shout out to, Rick Ross. I also listen to him as well.
Mm-hmm.
If it goes to anywhere in New York, people like 50, the whole dip set. If I had a pick out of all of it, I was always more of a fan of Jewels and Jim Jones. And
Mm-hmm.
so I would listen to their music a lot more heavily.
Mm-hmm. So it sounds like you were very strategic in who you listened to and who you chose to look I wouldn't say like as an idol, but look out for their music styles and what they had to give to the music industry and as a whole.
Correct.
Okay, okay. Well, that leads us to our next question. Can you remember the moment you knew you wanted to be an artist? Like, what was that pivotal moment when you was like, you know what? I'm gonna put myself out there.
Man, so that pivotal moment, I was 11 going on 12. And me and one of my big brothers, we were sitting down, we was like, hey, we should rap. Also around that same time frame, I had another brother and he was getting into rapping. So I was like, all right, if he could do it, I could do it. So we wrote both of our verses. It damn near looked like a whole paragraph. I forgot who had the top part of the bottom part, but all I know is the
Hmm.
whole page was full. And
Right.
so from that moment, it just took years upon years of honing my skills of it didn't have a direction or it didn't have a purpose of why I
Hmm.
was doing it until I found out that later on in life. But definitely at the age of 11, I
Hmm.
decided like, yeah, music is where I want to go.
Okay, so you've been doing this for quite a while. So you've seen artists come, you've seen artists go, you've seen, the high points of artists, the low points of artists. So I wanted to also ask you to walk us through like a process when creating a new track, like what goes into that? What's like the background of that?
Oh man. So my process will be more so like once I hear the beat,
Mm-hmm.
if it vibrates through my soul and words just start popping up, I just allow the beat to match with what my soul is telling me to do.
Mm-hmm.
And that's how the words just come about. And if I could put just a story or drop gems in there, that's my more strategic part of it. But I
Mm-hmm.
want it to be to where the words, whenever they come out, it's more so relatable.
Right. Okay.
And
That's always
so
good when it comes to fan base.
And so if I can't put a piece of my story into the song, then me as an artist, I just don't create it because I want it to resonate with,
Mm-hmm.
whoever it does, regardless of if it's good now or good then,
Mm-hmm.
people will still go back to it. And also at that same token, can hear me out. Now the
Mm-hmm.
beat may sound better than what I'm saying, but whenever, for some listeners, they like the beats, they like
Mm-hmm.
the verses, the words,
Right.
all that. So whenever it comes down to it, I make sure that at least maybe about 50% of you're able to like both. And if you're
Right.
able to like one over the other, all right, this may have not have been, for you. It may be, for somebody else who actually needs to hear it.
Right.
And
Right.
so that'll be my process of going through it. Like I vibe with it for a good little bit. some
Mm-hmm.
song some songs that I could create and manifest, it'll
Hmm.
be instant. Like I know what I'm gonna say on here.
Right. Okay. So you look at your, I'm sorry, you were about to say something.
Oh, all I was gonna say is then some of them I really have to get creative with it and pull out the pen and the pad and really go old
Hmm.
school. Just just jot it down
Right.
and make sure that it comes out the best way of how it's going in my mind.
Right. So from what I'm hearing, it sounds like you kind of look at your you try to look at your work in a third person as if you're the listener and not just doing it on your perspective as this is something that I would want to only listen to. You take that step back and you listen to those beats and you go through, what you were going to put on a paper basically or in the music from what you think your listeners may draw to.
Yes, correct. And then
Okay.
sometimes I even go and listen back to some of my songs and be like, damn, hey, you really went, retarded on this one.
Yeah.
And it'll just be like some of my songs, like some people may not have heard it, some people heard it. I
Hmm.
have one joint called Memories, which
Hmm.
is just telling an actual event in my life. And that would be one of my most relatable songs that I can ever do because
Hmm.
everybody don't experience death. So I
Hmm.
try to take at least a couple of aspects
Right.
from real life, not only just the glitz and glamour, like when we're up or when we're down. I try to take every aspect of our experience in life, the good, the bad, and just
Hmm.
put it throughout just different parts of the music so that once it is a full body of work,
Right.
I've done painted you a picture that you could vividly see and just go to this song or this song and this song and be like, oh yeah, this man really went through all of this stuff and made it out. And you
Right.
may be going through these same trials currently.
Hmm.
And
Yeah.
so this may help you get, through to the other side.
Hmm.
Regardless of how you come out, you still made it to the other side.
Right, right. So with your artistry, because music is art, and I don't think a lot of people realize that music is definitely art. But how do you stay inspired when you hit those creative blocks? Like you get that, like you just don't know what to put on the paper. You don't know what to put, with that beat. How do you get through those type of
Oh,
times?
man. That's a good one. I done came through so many roadblocks like that. Hold on 1 second. I'm take a drink.
No problem.
So my process with it is when I done tapped out all the words in my mind and soul, I had to come back to the real world. So it may be an experience on the job. It might be family issues. It might be relationship issues.
Hmm.
It might be something that I seen, on TV or just scrolling on the internet.
Right.
Or, I like to take long walks in the cemetery and,
Okay.
get some of these creative juices going. And
Hmm.
that right there will be one part that I found recently that is a critical part of my creative processing because I have time to myself. There's nobody there,
Right.
nobody bothering me. I'm humbled by, hey, I could live a good life, a
Hmm.
spectacular life, if you want to
Hmm.
say, but I still have to come back here at the end of the day
Right. Exactly.
where, it brings inspiration to where some people may not find it inspiring to go through these ways, but it's one of those to each his own that each person is inspired by different aspects in life. And so for me, I'm inspired by the things that the soul can intake that'll guide the mind and that'll have an impact on your personal life to where you can impact somebody else's life
Right.
passing on
Okay.
knowledge. I mean, I like reading books sometimes to where I ain't gonna say all scriptural or it may
Hmm.
be something about 10,000 years ago that I didn't know that I just feel like, hey, I want to learn
Hmm.
something. you know
Right.
I guess as the old people say, put some fat on it.
Right.
So that's how I go through mine, and sometimes I may have to touch back down in where I'm from
Mm-hmm.
in order to find that inspiration.
Right. So I heard you say you like to learn things and kind of challenge yourself in your day-to-day lives with learning things and, just broadening your on things in life. What's been the most challenging moment in your career so far?
Oh man, it's getting over the fact that no matter if I'm doing good, no matter if I'm doing bad, people are still going to judge and they don't even know half the story of what's going on or why I may make this sound like that. And it's just a judgment. And it's just like, they say shit, if they judge Jesus,
Right.
then who am I?
Right.
You
Yeah.
know? So in that aspect, it's just getting over the negative people that has to critique every last single thing that you do. No matter if it came out being a number one hit or even if it was just something that I had to just release from my soul since I do singles and free mixtapes.
Oh, okay.
It's one of those type of things. Could be, hey, here's something while waiting on me to find everything of what I need for my album. So,
Right.
doing my little projects like that, and it may not get a good review or enough views of how I felt like it should have gotten,
Mm-hmm.
but it's still at the end of the day that, it's still a process.
Exactly. Yeah. Yeah, I get that. And so I was gonna ask you, what projects are you most proud of and why? And if you can go ahead and tell us about any latest releases you got out so far.
Oh man, so my best body of work that I'm more proud of is my upcoming album, Room 113. I'm proud of myself on that. I challenged myself. The time span on creating it wasn't that long, but it that one right there took the longest because that took 2 months just to find
Wow.
everything and to create it. Even
Mm-hmm.
though I knocked everything out, but life has its way of hey, I gotta go do this. Hey, I'll get back
Right.
to that.
Mm-hmm.
So taking different pieces of what really stands out in my life, like pivotal moments. I'm proud of that because it took a lot to just unlock that door. And if I could critique myself
Mm-hmm.
on it was a few bumps along, like the recording processes of everything, but I'm most proud of that one right there to
Okay.
where not only did I challenge my own lyrical skills, but my
Mm-hmm.
storytelling ability. And
Wow.
the fact
Okay.
that I'm not only being honest with myself on the record, but
Mm-hmm.
I'm also being honest with everybody who will lend me an ear.
Mm-hmm. I think it's very vital for people's fan base to hear stories because it keeps them intrigued with your music. It keeps them on like being able to relate to their own life experiences within your music. So I think that's a great thing that you're doing with your storytelling. Um, but what vibe do you know? Like what vibe you were going for with this project? Because it sounds like it's more like a chill type of
Um,
get to know me, also while that person is finding themselves in your music.
oh man, so with this project and where it sets itself apart from all my other projects, this one it was more self-reflective opposed to me just getting on there talking my shit, talking about this, talking about that.
Mm-hmm.
It's more so of not only am I talking to myself through the music, I'm talking to everybody else in it.
Right.
So it may be like I have to remind myself who I am, the
Mm-hmm.
goal that's at hand. So it's self-reflecting. Some of them it is chill vibes that certain songs, if you smoke, you drink, even if you don't, you can
Mm-hmm.
still cut it on, get the move right, set, and you could listen to it. And
Right.
so Some of it's chill, some of it's self-reflecting. I might have a couple of songs on there where it's like, yeah, I'm talking all my shit, and it's
Hmm.
just just a reminder that I haven't gone nowhere. I'm just being chill right now. I'm on
Right.
some other shit, but don't forget though.
Right. You gotta remind them who you are.
Yeah,
Okay.
it's just a healthy reminder with no calories.
Right. Okay. Okay. So how do you balance that? Like, how do you balance like your business side of things with music on a day-to-day basis?
And that's a tough one. Some days it's harder than others because it's like I want to do 3 million things in 24 hours, and it's like I got to remind myself, like, hey,
Right.
we ain't doing it with that.
Right.
So,
Pace yourself.
from a work life to recording, so it may go from punching in on the clock to just showering and getting the mood right. May smoke, may drink, and then I go ahead and punch in for the studio time, for a good couple hours, and it's a daily routine for me to where, hey, I do what I do while the sun is up, but after hours, after dark, that's whenever I punch into the studio daily. Like people go to church every damn Sunday,
Right.
So instead of going here, going there, going out to the club, doing this
Mhm.
and that, I just, take time to, create, have that time for myself. And also for me, recording, it'll be more so, say, like a therapy session. So
Okay.
instead of going to a therapist, I just talk to the microphone and then, hey, I hear my playback, hey, that I got my point across with how I did it. And so some days I may not be motivated and I just have to, just drag myself out of bed and, go ahead and go to that. And so, but when
Hmm.
I'm in it, I enjoy it. It's like I don't want to be bothered zone. I go into D&D
Right.
mode.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
understand that. So I think this is the question that most people will want to ask like artists like yourself or other artists. Are you actually signed or are you an independent artist and how does this shape your approach?
Oh man, I guess in one aspect you could say I would be signed, but I wouldn't be. I'm just an independent artist with a distribution deal. I don't look to sign solely because I want to be in control of, what I can release, when I can release it. So if I was in a label situation, they may have me on the shelf for a whole year. I can't release nothing.
Hmm.
But
Gotcha.
I'm independent, so I could release out 15 projects this year. I
Hmm.
benefit. I just only have to give a small portion to the distributors,
Hmm.
and then
Hmm.
a little bit to the producer that made the beats,
Right.
and that's all I gotta come out of, which is
Oh,
I'm still winning in the end whenever all
right.
the money.
Hmm. So can you I know you work on music and everything like that, but what's a day in your life when you're not making music?
Oh man, so a day in my life, everybody gotta, wake up if they granny,
Hmm.
extra time. So waking up, getting everything clean, gotta have good hygiene. Gotta have that.
Right.
That's number one before you have money. You gotta have
Right.
good
That's
hygiene.
true.
So self-care, take care of myself and then, I'll, get ready for a whole day. Talk
Right.
to whatever, family that would be around or that,
Hmm.
that would be on my mind that it's like, hey, I need to call this person.
Right.
And
Right.
then, I may go do some other work somewhere else. And then
Right.
after all of that is said and done, if I'm not recording, tonight, then I take some time out to, catch up on some movies that may have came out maybe
Hmm.
months ago. I'm just now getting time, watching that, probably a
Right.
little bit of meditation time, I listen to a little bit of audios about ancient knowledge and everything like that for, better mental growth that'll feed the soul.
Right.
Um,
Hmm.
and I take a little bit of, well, I ain't gonna say a little bit, but I have a lot of self reflecting time.
That's good.
So,
Yeah.
When I'm not doing music, that's how, my life will go. Or if I
Okay.
have, someone that I'm loving on, I'll talk to her. And then, I may find inspiration out of that conversation, be like, oh yeah, this will be a catalyst to a good ass
Hmm.
damn song. And,
Right.
I might take that whole conversation and
Hmm.
just transform that into a song and boom, hey, we back at it.
Right. Okay. Okay.
So
So, oh, I'm sorry. Go ahead.
no, just saying. So like that's really what a day in a life is like, or even if it's just random stuff that may happen. I may dip back to the hood. I may go to the grocery store. Like I'm just a normal person like everybody else.
Okay. Okay. So, I have to ask you this. So, what's next for you? Any goals or collabs you looking forward to, or anything like that?
Right now, I'm not collabing. I'm just getting both feet in and establishing that hey, I'm a solo artist. I was having a collaborator and things in the kitchen, and so but right now I'm not collaborating with nobody. I do have a single that I'm loading it up, getting ready to drop it. It's called Pots of Greed, and it's just a solo single of mine from the album.
Hmm.
And while waiting, I do have an EP also loaded up, ready to get shipped out to everybody. And that one, it doesn't have a name yet.
Gotcha.
And so while I'm coming up with it and everything, both of them in the kitchen and the pots already. So
Gotcha.
with that one, those are the two recent ones. Then I have some that's just still, in the storage and like that. And so I may go ahead and release it while finishing up the last touches on the business side of things. And these will be just songs that would just be uploaded for free just on the YouTube. I don't want no money from it. It's just
Mhm.
something, just a sound and something to be on your mind.
Gotcha. Gotcha. So, with that being said, any last words of wisdom for young creatives out there that's looking or aspire to do music?
That no matter what obstacles that you face in life, if you have the breath of life in you and you wake up the next day, it is always another chance to do what you didn't do the day before.
I
And if
like
you
that.
have the will, then you could do anything that you want to put your mind to. And if somebody tell you can't, tell them that you can. Because my mama always told me, and it's for everybody, can't never could do nothing. So if you feel like you can't, then you never will.
That's true. I've heard that too. So, you guys, this was Domino Dominko, and I would like for you to tell your audience and your fans where they can find your music and follow your journey.
All right, so right now I'm exclusively only on YouTube. All that's gonna be getting changed within the next couple of months. Gotta work it out the way that I do. You can find me on Facebook under Domino Dominko. Then you also can find me on IG. And so that's the three platforms where you can find me being the most active.
Okay, you guys. Well, thank you for being on the podcast today, Mr. Domingo. And we look forward to having you on the show again.
Thank you, and thank you for having me.
Thank you. Have a great day.
You too.
Bye.